Welcome to our tech lab today, build an AI agent for UC provisioning with ServiceNow and leveraging Flow. I'm Brittany McGee. I am our Global Marketing Director here at Kermi, and today I am joined by Jesse. Jesse, how are you doing?
Hey, Brittany, doing well. Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining. We're really excited to be here with you today. My name is Jesse Hoffman. I'm a technical account manager here with Kermi. I'm sure I'm partial, but I think I've got the coolest role here. I basically get to help guide and educate our customers on the value of the Flow solution, and of course, along with that, I get into the technical aspects and architecture requirements and things like that. So, just a little bit about me, but again, welcome all, and we're really looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, Jesse does have a fun job. He gets to talk to people and solve problems all day. So a little bit about Kermi. If you have not been on one of our webinars, you don't know who we are, maybe this is just a reintroduction. We've been building intelligent UC management tools since 2011, so we're coming up on our 15-year anniversary. One of the great things about Kermi and our product is how much it has evolved in those last 15 years and how we're constantly looking to innovate and add more capabilities. I think this AI agent within ServiceNow is a testament to that. And our flagship platform is Flow, but we, since acquiring a company called YarnLab last year, we have added more tools to our portfolio, and everything is really designed to simplify complex environments and workflows. Our teams have deep UC expertise. Jesse didn't mention this in his intro, but he's been in the trenches. Jesse.
I can chime in. So this is a little bit more for those who may be new to Kermi, and Brittany was really kicked that off nicely. But essentially, what Flow platform provides is, you think about your UC environments and the day-to-day management that goes into those things, like provisioning users, phones, etc., phone numbers. And those simple tasks can really start to take a lot of time the bigger the environment is, or if you have multiple platforms. I think if you go around the room most of the time and ask people, how many of you are using more than one UC platform, whether it's I am in presence, voice, contact center, etc. Most hands go up. So again, what we're doing is the Flow solution kind of helps automate and simplify the day-to-day, which again, in these kind of environments can become very time-consuming, very cumbersome. So the Flow platform, that's what it's about at its core, is just simplifying and kind of automating that. So to Brittany mentioned this, I've been in the field, I've been in the trenches, I've been in UC for about the last 15 years. I've been on the service provider side, I've been on the customer side, I've done pro services, so I've been out in the field doing deployments and all that. So to me, this is something I feel pretty passionate about. I get excited about, again, just the overall value, the time savings, etc. So that was a bit winded. Sorry about that.
You're fine. No, you're fine. It's great to have such excited people working with the product day in and day out. And I think that goes along to why IT teams trust our flagship platform, Flow, to manage UC services for more than 5 million users globally. And then we're globally dispersed to also support that. Keeping the momentum here. So again, like to Jesse's point of what we do, we talk to large enterprises, we work with large enterprises to solve this UC aspect day in and day out. What we've noticed over the last couple of years is that a lot of our large enterprise customers and other others in the industry that we're talking to, they all use ServiceNow to prioritize and track those UC requests. Natively, there is no connection between ServiceNow and all of these other communication platforms. So that's where Flow fits into the gap. But I'm going to run you through just this onboarding example here that we have of someone who uses ServiceNow to manage their UC requests or tickets. And this example does not have Flow in it. So first and foremost, HR is submitting the onboarding request, a new employee is created in the Active Directory. You've got the help desk escalating UC services, you've got the help desk escalating UC services, part of the request to the UC team. You've got your UC admins then logging into multiple platforms to provision users across all systems. And then your UC admin has to go back into ServiceNow and close the request or somehow communicate that the request has been closed. And in a lot of cases, we're seeing that you're manually writing that information, like what was provisioned, back to ServiceNow. Where Flow fits in, not connected to ServiceNow, is really that multiple platforms part. As Jesse was saying, you'll log into Flow and manage all of your UC systems from one centralized place, and then you're automating a lot of that as well. So it really takes that manual work out of it. And again, you're not switching between screens, and things tend to be a little bit more streamlined, a lot more streamlined. But, we recently, in the last couple of years, have begun this integration with ServiceNow. We do have the integration app available in the ServiceNow store. And then we also have enterprise customers who are doing custom builds. So as ServiceNow has evolved itself, they're really leaning into AI. And we just had this moment of, well, okay, ServiceNow is implementing all of this AI. What if we could tap into that and you could enable not just your UC team, but like your help desk or maybe even your managers to provision users from a chat, really leveraging the ServiceNow technology. So that's really what spurred all of this, was thinking about that. And spoiler alert, we can do that. So as we've mentioned a few times now, Flow manages your users across your entire UC ecosystem, so that if you're looking at this diagram, Flow downwards, you've got Teams, WebEx, Cisco UCM, Zoom, Genesys, audio codes, and it's more than 20 platforms at this point that Flow is natively integrated to. We also have a software development kit that extends that even further. But turning it back onto the ServiceNow side of this, with ServiceNow, we are connecting via the integration app, or again, you can do custom, whatever, and taking advantage of that AI agent layer within ServiceNow to then prompt these natural language prompts. Jesse, I talked through that very quickly. Did I miss anything technically important?
No, I think you covered the key points. I mean, I think the only thing I would add is again, what's really cool here to me is if you look at this diagram, again, it's pretty simplified, but from the bottom up as we kind of climb up the ladder, or move up the diagram, however you want. At that base layer, of course, those different ecosystems, there can be a lot of complexities, and managing those, of course, everything that comes with that. And as we move up to Flow, of course, in the middle, that's where we do a lot of automation. So we're kind of simplifying at that level and automating, consolidating. But then now linking that up to the top with ServiceNow, not only are we, kind of tying together the whole life cycle in terms of the ticketing, we now have this, which we're getting ready to get into, this AI agent kind of wrapper is one way of looking at it on top that really simplifies. So again, bottom to top, you just get more and more simplified, more automated, more streamlined in terms of managing those environments.
Yeah. One thing to quickly mention is that ServiceNow does have quite a few different agentic AI, I guess, front ends, if you will. It's Now Assist, Employee Works. They recently acquired MoveWorks. I I guess a couple months ago now. And then they announced, what was it, maybe a month ago, that they're kind of moving all of this under auto, at least for the conversational side of things. So on your front end, you're likely going to interface with auto, but you're still going to create everything in the back end through the AI platform that we are about to dive into. Jesse, I believe our next slide is actually going into kind of a reverse engineering first to familiarize ourselves with the components.
Yep, absolutely. So we're going to do things maybe just a little bit different here in the sense we're going to kind of jump to the end. So we're going to actually demonstrate this in action. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to run through kind of a quick exercise, and then we'll go behind the scenes and kind of look at the building blocks and the various components that make this work. So here we go. And sharing now. Let me know if you can see my screen, Brittany. Everybody, we good?
It is thinking, but it is, oh, there it is.
Great. Okay, so we are in ServiceNow. Just a quick note, of course, as we go through some of these steps, these exercises, of course, just be aware that depending on your version of ServiceNow, some of the views, some of the options may look a little bit different, of course. But where we're going to focus today, you can search for it. I've got a favorite here. Just look for AI Agent Studio. So we're going to pop into AI Agent Studio. And at the very top, if we can see a couple tabs, if you will, we have Overview, Create, and Manage, and Testing. And then there's a few other. We're going to drop into Testing. All right. Okay, we're going to start a manual test. AI agent or workflow. So in this case, what I'm going to do is that I would like to onboard. Oops, I did not select the workflow. Apologies. So the workflow I've selected is onboard collaboration user. And we're going to hit go. So we'll start this. And what you're going to see here is, we'll get into this in a minute. It's really cool. So you're going to see this orchestrator. You'll see this repeatedly as we work our way through this particular workflow. You're going to see the orchestrator piece kick in, and it's calling various aspects of this workflow that we've built. A couple things, again, off to the left, on the left-hand side, you're going to see the steps and actions, the logic, and then on the right side, you'll see more of the same. You'll see the actual components, the tools, etc., that are in use here. So in this case, we can see it says, okay, Chuck's not provisioned. Here we go, in Kermi Flow. And would you like to proceed? It's, again, Chuck Farley exists in ServiceNow, but is not provisioned in Kermi Flow. Would you like to do so? So we're going to hit say yes. And again, as we move through these steps, you'll just see the kind of the two different branches, the little bit of the hierarchy. We'll look at this in a minute, the different aspects that drive this. And the key thing really that I want to emphasize throughout this is we're giving you an example of one specific workflow, right? So we've built this workflow to match probably the most common use case, right? User onboarding. We also built this workflow so that it's a very specific kind of step-by-step order. The point being, you could do this completely differently based on your needs, your environment, etc. So, all right, so now it's asking for kind of, hey, where is Chuck located? So I'm going to say Chuck is in New York. And so we have this really simple, straightforward dialogue. All our crafting are by design, back and forth with whoever's driving this or whoever's using it. We've tried to make it very, very simple and straightforward. Okay, there's our list of sites. We're going to say number one, yes. Give us just a minute. We'll have a couple more steps. The neat thing here, again, it's, if you were managing, for example, if you're the UC administrator, you could certainly run this yourself. Or if you wanted to offload this to Okay, now it's asking if we want PSTN. I'm going to say yes. If you wanted to offload this to your help desk, you could do that. If you wanted to make this self-service, users could, you could give them access to this and they could do self-provisioning. So possibilities are really kind of endless. And that's kind of like, we like to think of what we're showing here is the art of the possible, is a kind of an expression I like to borrow. Again, this can be tuned and customized to your liking. Okay, so again, prompting me, asking different questions. You can see in this specific example, we've just built this out on the Flow backend. You can see, of course, UCM and Teams are the two primary. Could be WebEx, could be Zoom. It just depends on your needs and your environment. I'm going to say number one, so just a UCM basic profile, which is, again, kind of a package we build in the backend within Flow. And then I think the last step we'll see here, I believe it just is going to ask for a telephone number.
So
Yes.
Jesse,
Please. Yeah.
it sounds like we've got success here. I do just want to chime in and say, Jesse mentioned you could, enable other teams to use the chat. Again, I just want to remind people we are in the testing side of this, so it looks very different than what it would look like on the front end if you were to, say, assign this to the help desk to do. And then the other thing I wanted to reiterate is, it does seem like, it's a lot of questions. That is how we have programmed the agent. Is it the agentic workflow or the actual agent to ask these questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which again, once we finish this example, we will actually go into the build. We'll talk about the architecture a bit, and then we'll go into the build. But it looks like we're making good progress here. What's going on?
Yeah, exactly. So that last step, you could probably see it's basically giving me a summary of the user, the site where he's going to be located, the profile or the package he'll have, and then the phone number. So it's kind of finalizing these things. We should be done here in just a minute, and then we'll go up kind of behind the scenes and take a look at how this all was built, how it works. The cool thing is too, and I'll tie this. We'll see this in a minute, but of course this is ServiceNow. So part of way we build this is of course you're going to have a ticketing, the ticketing aspect of this. So we'll demonstrate both from the ServiceNow side as well as the Flow side, the logging and the ticketing. So everything is tracked, everything has a record. So again, from just kind of a governance perspective, tracking and logging all the way through. So that's extremely important. I know that's more and more of a key item, a hot item that we encounter all the time. Let's see, we're going to finish. Checking on remaining steps. So we'll hang tight a little bit longer. This is taking a little bit longer than normal. If this goes much longer, we'll just pop right into the back end. What do you think, Brittany?
Yeah, we could talk about the architecture while it's thinking. I will say I don't, I think this just must be the test environment. Yep. But let's jump into the architecture and walk people through more what's going on there, and you can work with it as it's thinking. I think again, because it's following the steps and it's showing you the test is probably taking a little bit longer than expected. Your users on the front end won't experience that lag. It's prerequisites first. What do we need to do this?
Yeah, exactly. So pretty simple and straightforward in the sense that, of course, Flow is, again, go back to that diagram we showed earlier. Flow is right there at the heart of this. That is the engine that's driving all the UC automation. And then along with that, on the ServiceNow side, we have the Flow integration app and the Now Assist panel. So those are kind of the key aspects here that we need to get started.
And now we dive into the architecture.
Yes, exactly. So pictures usually help. So what we're about to explore, what we're about to show you, excuse me, in terms of the building blocks and how this works. This is somewhat simplified, but it's really, really accurate. So kind of going left to right, if you will. On the left, you have that experience, the chat. Again, that kind of natural conversational side of things that the end user is experiencing, which based on how you've built it, is going to call a certain workflow in ServiceNow. So you can see again, going left to right, we have an onboard in a ServiceNow column there in the middle. We have an onboard collaboration user workflow. We'll look at that in a minute. And then that workflow contains or points to 2 specific agents. And again, we'll look at that. And then in turn, the agents are basically calling or using that Kermi integration app. So you can see those on the far right column, which then to the far right, the arrow, that's all ServiceNow all speaking to Flow via API. So in terms of user experience and processing, it's kind of left to right here as we're looking at the diagram. But in the build process, it's more right to left. We have to make sure that integration app is in place. That gives us the tools we'll build. They're based on that integration app. And then we build the agent and then the workflow. So it's still running for some reason. So we're just going to move beyond the test, and I apologize. It's kind of hung up there, it looks like in this case. So, all right, I'm gonna switch over to my screen again. Ready? If you're good, Brittany, and then we'll
Yep.
look here at.
Nothing like a live test to really keep you on your toes.
Oh, of course. Yep. All right, so we're back here, great, and you can see, so down below here, we've got 2 different tabs, AI agentic workflows and AI agents. Again, build process, just keep in mind as we step into this, there's really 3 primary elements or aspects to the way this works. And that's going to be workflow, an agent, and a tool. So when we're building this, we'd actually build the tools first, point the agent at those, create the agent next, and point the agent at those tools, and then finally point the agent, the workflow, create the workflow, and point the workflow at the agent. So bear with me, I'm going to drop down here. You can see onboard collaboration user. This is the one we just used, and we'll kind of get a sense of this. All right, so here's our onboard collaboration user workflow. And you can see kind of at the very top, we have a very nice kind of structured description and an order and what the processing, how the processing all works. And as we scroll down, now we've obviously pre-populated, pre-built this, and you'll see description and steps here listed. This is so important as we kind of step our way through this, with really any AI kind of workflow or process, you can never overemphasize the importance of just planning and careful thought into what the outcome is intended to be. I often use the measure twice, cut once kind of thought process logic, and that really applies here. So the more time, the more planning you put into this up front, the better. But you can see here, again, based on what we're reading, what we see here, the list of steps are basically 2. The first is to analyze the user. We're basically looking at both Flow and ServiceNow saying, okay, what's the current state of this employee? Do they exist? Do they not exist? Maybe they exist in ServiceNow, but not, Flow, etc. So that's the first step, is to do a simple analysis. And then the second is the actual user onboarding. And this is kind of where the good stuff happens, so to speak. Okay, so continuing to scroll down, we can now see, based on those 2 steps, we now have the 2 AI agents that are part of this workflow. Again, keep in mind, this is our example here. You could build and do this differently based on your needs and your environment. So as I mentioned just a minute ago, the first, it's kind of on the bottom here, but let's take a look at this. And that's the user analysis agent. So let's take a look there. And just as we spoke to earlier, you can see it's doing kind of just what it sounds like. Retrieves and validates employee data from ServiceNow and Flow. And then going down a bit further, role and required steps. Again, really, really, really important. So the way, if you notice, the way I started that conversation was, I would like to onboard, so-and-so. And all that comes back to how you've built this, how you're your descriptions work, your roles, your list of steps, etc. So you can see what we're doing. We're assigning this AI agent a role with a great amount of detail and a lot of specific order here. And then along with that, the list of steps. So we have global rules. I'm not going to read through this, but you can kind of see the way we've structured this. And there's a very specific order. You could build this in such a way that, you know, there's maybe just a prompt or two or a chat or two, and it's off and running. We wanted to make this very specific in terms of, you know, find out the time zone, find out the site, which UC package do you want? And so there's a bit more order or steps in that regard. But again, you could structure this and build this your own, you know, to your own liking. So that, yeah, go ahead, Brittany.
This is a great time to mention we do have all of this specific agent in a guide that we're happy to share when you're ready to start building your own AI agents within ServiceNow integrated with Flow.
Perfect.
So we do have that guide available. And one other interesting comment, just thinking about this, and it's so important, you know, looking at the descriptions and how detailed everything is. Some of that is like, oh, whoa, like, do I need to be a developer to do this? Not necessarily. Again, I think prompting is its own art. But if you do have your developers, your ServiceNow developers building this, your UC expertise is extremely important, and understanding how Flow is set up is also extremely important. So you're going to have to collaborate or kind of marry the art here of you've got, you know, your agent developing as well as your collaboration expertise kind of.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Great points. Thank you, Brittany. That's awesome. Yeah, and I like to use the word crafting because it really is this process and this practice of design, careful thought into your workflows, your use cases, and then what do I want out of this? So all this was, as you can see, very carefully thought out. And then once you come into ServiceNow, honestly, and you're building this, it's a copy and paste exercise. So the actual build process is pretty simple and straightforward for the most part. But again, it depends on your situation. So back to this particular, this agent. Again, this is the user analysis agent. We've seen kind of the steps, the rules, and then now if we drop down to tools. So again, keep in mind what I said earlier, where it's workflow points to an agent, points to a tool. So inside that agent that we were just looking at, here are the tools. Really, in this case, just the two. So we have a flow specific tool, which is find collaboration user, basically looking into the flow environment saying, hey, does this user exist? And then doing the same thing on the ServiceNow side. So pretty simple, straightforward. Again, on this first part of the workflow, it's this user analysis piece. Let's back up a step and then we'll look at the other parts. So, all right, so that was the user analysis agent that we just looked at right there. And now let's look at the second agent. So again, this particular workflow, just two agents. This agent is the onboarding agent, Kermi. So let's tap on that. And again, you can see just we'll do a quick review. You have the description. This is where you can see again, and this is doing the action. First one is doing an analysis, reading, analyzing. This is creating, this is updating, etc. And once more, we're very specific about role and required steps. Just kind of, I'm not going to read this, but you can kind of get a sense as I scan through the level of order and detail and specificity, if I can say that right. I did it. Wow. It's really cool. So that's our the core of this particular agent. And then if we look at the tools down below, same pattern, same order. Now again, we have a couple different sections. One is flow. So these are the actions that are taking place in flow. And once more, these particular tools are made possible through that Kermi integration app. So it's actually that Kermi integration app that is kind of driving these specific actions. And you can see, again, we're checking to see what collaboration profiles, packages, could be Zoom, could be WebEx, Teams, etc. We're finding the user, we're getting the sites. It's all very, very specific flow actions here. And then we drop down here and we have more ServiceNow specific actions. So here we're creating and then retrieving the ticket as a result of this. So that's also very, very important here. Obviously the bulk of this, if you think about it, is the UC aspect, but we need that ticket. We need to, initiate and kind of close out that aspect as well. And then further down here, and just bear with me, I'm just calling out these one by one. The actual creation, again, happening in Flow, and that's made possible through the Flow integration app. And then finally, the knowledge graph piece. So this is, again, going back to the analysis and retrieving the information from ServiceNow. So you can kind of see a mixture of both, Flow actions, Flow components, and then, native or internal ServiceNow pieces that are taking place here. So let's go ahead and pause there for a minute. I'm going to back up. And I'm curious. I'm going to do this. I think that's kind of the overview of, again, the building blocks. So just to summarize one more time, you have the workflow that points to your agents. Agents use tools, which are made possible through the Kermi Flow integration app. And that's really how this all works together. I'm going to pop back up to testing. I am curious if it shows, if Chuck ever, oh, we're back at the beginning. Okay, well, all right, let's.
Oh, I think because you maybe X'd out a bit.
I left the screen, exactly.
I didn't continue the test.
Okay, well, okay, back to you, Brittany. Sorry about that.
Well, before we continue, actually, do you have an example? Because I see the flow tab open. Do you have an example of a user who we provisioned earlier through ServiceNow, just so we can show kind of the tracking there?
Yep, let's do this. Our instance here. Okay, so no, good question. What we should see again in that AI agent window, we should see everything come to completion, including a ServiceNow ticket. But then also on the Flow side, if we drop in here, let me go under daily management Flow users, we'll see a list of users that have been onboarded or provisioned. Actually, I'm going to scroll down and see if it actually finished. Chuck, it did finish. Okay, so Chuck was completed. My guess is if we would have held on a little bit longer, we would have had the summary there. But if we look at Chuck Farley, here he is. We'll see kind of the information he's got. He's got a phone number. He's in New York, et cetera, et cetera. And as I pointed out earlier, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of jumping around a bit, but if we go under report, this is where part of the goodness comes in. Go down to tickets, and you'll see this latest instance. That should be me. So let's click on that incident. Yes, exactly. Request. Here we go. That is our tracking number. And this was completed thanks to the onboarding agent by Kermi. So again, it's just really awesome, really powerful, because you have what, and let me scroll down actually a little bit. So this was completed, Chuck was onboarded. And if we scroll down, you can see a lot of the detail that was taking place in Flow, in this case, in call managers. So lines, devices, users, all this stuff automated via Flow. And I was, just in that little agent typing away. So really, really powerful, really simple. And again, tracking, ticketing throughout. So total visibility into what's going on here. So
that is great. And, it's always great to have the reassurance that something was completed in the other platform, as well as just, we can audit here. And let's say if Chuck was accidentally given the wrong package, we could easily just roll back in Flow.
Yep, exactly.
So a lot of guardrails, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. And I'm seeing a few questions pop up in both the questions module and the chat. We will get to those in just a few minutes. Continue to drop them if you have them. Some really, really good things coming through. So to tie up the ServiceNow and Flow integration here, ServiceNow is over there orchestrating the workflows, And Flow is really coming in and being a part of your broader enterprise IT workflows, handling all of the UC execution, UC service management execution. So, we're really completing that hire to retire workflow for onboarding, offboarding, everything in between. We are bridging that gap and doing things that ServiceNow cannot natively do, but all being executed or initiated from ServiceNow. This helps with resolving tickets faster. Everyone's happy. The help desk is happy when they can, close a ticket and reduce that mean time to resolve. Jesse, I know that.
I was going to say, yeah, I can speak to that. I think anybody who has, so I've actually had a couple management roles. I was part of a small service desk, and so the MTTR thing I think really resonates with a lot of folks.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just shortening that at MTTR, that there's a lot of just benefit there. So we're really excited about that aspect.
Yeah. And through the one integration, you are then gaining access to be able to provision or manage users across more than 20 different tools. Again, it all depends on how you set up your profile or your packages within Flow, but really easy to make changes across everything. And then again, one of the key benefits of Flow in general is just being able to strengthen that governance and security. As we showed you the ticket log, you're able to audit that, roll back any errors, and just ensure that everything is logged in one single place. And if you're running scripts or you're connecting to a tool native, like a tool from ServiceNow some other way, you don't always have that governance in place. And then the security aspect, the different policies that you can put in place within Flow to prevent things being provisioned incorrectly or set up incorrectly. Anything I'm missing on especially the governance and security part, Jesse, before we zoom out and answer those questions?
No, I don't think so. I think that covers it pretty well.
Good job. Cool. So zooming out, we went really specific on a use case, specifically onboarding or provisioning a user within from ServiceNow into Flow. That's just one of the many things that we can do. As I've said a few times now, Flow is integrated with quite a few UC technologies at the bottom. And then we have additional capabilities if you're looking at the northbound here, and things that can initiate or trigger workflows within Flow. We're connected to your Active Directories like Microsoft Entra ID. We can connect to HRISs. The example here is Workday. Obviously, ServiceNow. We do have the REST API that is available to connect to whatever you might want to. And then what we're working on is the MCP server, which is really exciting because then you'll be able to leverage other forms of agents and really communicate from any sort of AI via that MCP server. And to steal from Jesse, who stole from someone else, it really truly is the art of what's possible. And we're excited to work with you on that and partner with you on that. Before we get to questions, if you do want a personalized demo, we'd be happy to meet. This QR code will take you to our demo request page. If you're an existing customer or partner, please reach out to your account manager, whether that's customer success or your account executive, or if you have a relationship with like a technical account manager like Jesse, they're happy to go through all of this with you. And with that questions, the first question we will take is in the questions, we've got, can the AI agent, and essentially it's do more than provisioning. The specific examples were diagnose failed registrations, troubleshoot voicemail PIN issues, or handle user complaints. Jesse, you want to talk through some of the other things that are possible with the AI agent, depending on how you set it up?
Yeah, those are great questions. I think today, again, what we've explored, what we've covered so far, are specifically the onboarding provisioning related, but we would be happy to do kind of an analysis and explore these possibilities. I don't know the answers to these right offhand. I like the idea, and I like to think that it is possible, but we would have to probably really collectively just explore this and talk through it more to understand if this is possible or not. So apologies, I don't have more specifics, but we would be happy to engage and dig in deeper on that one if needed.
Totally fair. My gut says yes, but you are the technical expert, so I will defer to you on that. I am the marketing person who maybe wants to overpromise.
Well, and I will use this to chime in. Just we both kind of spoke to it, Brittany. You covered it. We're looking at specific kind of workflows and use cases. Again, using the off the shelf, if I can say that, off the shelf Kermi flow integration app, but we could do anything custom that we want to. So again, I think you're right, maybe with saying that this is probably possible. We would just have to explore carefully and look at, it would likely be something custom. So if you have ServiceNow expertise in-house, or you're working with a ServiceNow partner, and that would be something we would probably all work together with, to explore via API, or via the SDK, those kind of things, if we could do something custom like that. But I think those are great questions, and I like where you're going with that.
Absolutely. So then in the chat, we have a question. What is the required version of Flow? I think I know this. I think it is. I think the new integration app is compatible with 9.1 and above. Yes?
Yep, correct.
Okay, so the answer there is 9.1 and above. If you are not on 9.1 and you'd like to upgrade, you're self-hosting and you're upgrading, we'd love to chat about it. If you are on our SaaS version, where we're hosting Flow, you are automatically on the latest version. So you are compatible. Okay, that is all for today. We are at time. I thought this was really insightful. I enjoyed walking through the agent. I think there are so many cool applications for this. And yeah, Jesse, any last thoughts?
Yeah, no, just thanks everybody for joining. We really appreciate the participation, the attendance, and hopefully you can get a sense now of what's possible and maybe what direction you might want to go here. So again, thank you all.
Great. We'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.